Shows how long it's been since I've done these. I started talking without changing the scene. Good afternoon. This is Reading for Charity again. Continuing to get through the final kind of third of all these reviews that I've got to do. Today it's these three. So it's the Patrick Rothfuss books. The Name of the Wind, The Wise Man's Fear, and The Slow Regard of Silent Things. I enjoyed these books. They were they felt a little bit like the Dragonlance Chronicles in the way that it started. Kavoth. I've never actually worked out how to say his name. Kavoth. Let's go for Kavoth. Feels in the kind of framing story, the current time story, a little bit like Cameron Majeur, in that he's the legendary adventurer who has spent time away and all the stories are bloated, and in that it's the similar idea. It's been expounded upon so many times, through Gandalf is a really good example of that. Gandalf in the Lord of the Rings books, his feats are legendary but may or may not be true. Some of them, or blown out of proportion. And that's a similar idea with The Slow Regard of Silent Things, with the Name of the Wind, which is he's an unreliable narrator telling his story. So the things may or may not be true, and the way that Bast works, trying to revitalise or trying to bring Kavoth back to his former glory. The fact that he continually fails this makes you wonder whether Kavoth was actually responsible for the acts that he's been named of. And the way that the trilogy is going to be, over 3 parts, this tells a story over 3 days, and the story is full of him doing tremendous things and succeeding at everything all the time, regardless of the obstacles put in his way, and including obstacles which are so earlier on when he's a child in the Name of the Wind, and spoiler warning. So again, we've got the spoiler bit here. When his parents are killed, when he's a child, you can come back now, spoiler people. And when he's in that situation, he really should be killed, and it takes an external threat for the would-be murderers to leave. It's kind of like one of those ones where, it's fate's conspiring for him to be great, or he's an unreliable narrator. You're not really going to be able to tell until the end of the 3rd book, which Rothfuss hasn't finished writing yet, which is quite frustrating. But I will definitely pick up. I enjoyed these books greatly. I enjoyed these very, very much. The Name of the Wind, I think, was the better one. Yeah, was definitely the better one. I've struggled to differentiate between the 2 books because I read them back to back. So where one finishes and one picks up. I like the idea of the King Killer stuff. I like the idea that there's this guy who is absolutely legendary and amazing and superb and wonderful, but all he wants to do is just be an innkeeper or run a bar or run a shop or do anything but all the magical things that the stories talk about him of. I really like the idea, and it's one that's been explored quite a lot in other media. But Rothfuss has made it really, really work here with The Name of the Wind. Wise Man's Fear, I didn't think was quite as good as The Name of the Wind. I thought it was maybe a little bit more filler, if you like. He was kind of treading water a little bit. I'm not sure he knew quite where he was going with some of these things. I think he was kind of getting his way. I mean, despite the fact it's a thick book, it is a thick book. Actually, very little happens in it that's relevant to the story. The only real relevance in it is that he kind of, when he gets back to the university, he starts hearing the stories of his feats, being bigged up, distorted, whatever. That's really the only bit that's really relevant to this, as much as anything else. The whole Chandarian thing is kind of takes the sideline of this, so you feel it's going to finish off in the third book. The Wise Man's Fear felt like it was treading water a lot, in my opinion, but was still enjoyable, was good fluff, but didn't quite hit the notes that The Name of the Wind hit, in my opinion. That doesn't mean it's a bad book. It's not. It's great. It's just not as good as the first one. The Slow Regard of Silent Things is just a weird short story, really. It's beautifully illustrated, and it feels much more kind of young adult than the other two, and it's kind of like just like a day in the life of Ori. As she explores the under thing, it's a nice wee. It's hard to even call it story. It's not really got a beginning and an end and a plot and stuff. It's just really just following her around as she does stuff. A character study, is that maybe what it is? It's a nice character study of Ori. But it's a nice little thing. It was only like 100 and something pages, wasn't it? It's 159 pages. And I read it in one sitting, and it was like I finished it and went, meh, that was nice. I think if you're a real Rothfuss fan and you're looking for, to just sink yourself into everything you can produce, then it's really well worth a read, and it is well and nicely written. But it is just a short story based in the universe, so it's not really expanding the plot, and it doesn't even really expand the world building that much either of the main line, of the main storyline. So yeah, you can probably skip this one, in all honesty, but it's still nice. It's a nice little story. But if you're looking for more of Kavoth, then this isn't giving you it at all. So should you read these books? Yeah, absolutely. I'm interested to see whether Rothfuss actually manages to finish it for us, because what I've read, it sounds like he's struggling somewhat to finish the third book. I can't remember what the name of the third book is. Doors of Stone. There you go. I had it looked up already. He's still writing the Doors of Stone, and it's whether he ever gets it finished or not is going to be an interesting thing. I hope he does, and I hope it's great, because the Name of the Wind sets up a really nice little universe that I really want to see finished well. I want Kavoth to be an entirely unreliable narrator. I want everything to have been complete and total nonsense. I want someone else to have been amazing, and he was just along for the ride. That's what I want. I want a total bait and switch. And as much as I would hate that in some other books, I really want it in this one. So, yes, read the books. I enjoyed them. They were good. I wouldn't put them in the same league as the Glenn Cook stuff. I think Glenn Cook stuff was better. But it's definitely getting close to being that good. It is. I really enjoyed it. Maybe, what was the name of the Loch Lamora? It's probably along similar lines to Loch Lamora. If you like Loch Lamora, you'll probably like, there's too many else, the Kavoth stuff. So yes, read them. They were excellent. I highly enjoyed them. So I'm going to keep going. I'm going to keep going with this. This is a whole bunch of reviews getting done one after the other. I'm going to do the Witcher books next. That's going to be the next pile of books to do. So until then, thank you very much for watching. Thank you very much for listening, and good afternoon. I've broken my outro again. That's twice in a row now. This is unprofessional. Unprofessional. I'm not professional.